Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 18th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. Should we please first stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, we're going to start off with correspondence. Anybody got anything in there want to discuss?
No.
John?
Nope.
Counselor?
No, Mr. Chair.
We'll move on to the meeting minutes of November 4th, 2024. Any changes, additions?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 4th, 2024 as written?
Motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll move into the regular portion of the meeting. First on the agenda, we have 401 East Main Street. This is a public informational hearing. I do not see the applicant here.
Second call.
Do I have a motion to go into the work session portion of the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, first on the agenda, we have Underhill Farm. This is a project update. Location 370 Underhill Avenue.
Hello, everybody.
Joe.
Good evening.
Okay, just get myself situated here. Lose everything. Okay. Just a brief presentation to bring to the board's attention some changes we're proposing to the plan and updates that we're proposing. We'll be making some formal submissions regarding some of these items. The first item is in this location. As you remember, earlier in the summer, we were here and we were going to eliminate 2 units out of Building 1 and put them in the condominium. The owner, Mr. Galero, has decided that we want to revert back to the approved plan, which makes that a 4-plex. This is, a more desirous plan for the project. I also want, at the time we were struggling with the Army Corps, waiting on them to issue their jurisdictional determination, and they cited that they have no jurisdiction over the project. So we're back to this original plan, and we will not be putting the 2 units in the condominium. That's one change we're proposing to go back to. Currently, in this area of the site, there's a wooden footbridge that crosses over the brook that runs through the site and makes its way into the pond. What we're proposing to do there is eliminate the footbridge, install 2 large culverts, and continue the asphalt path. Well, it's not asphalt, it's impervious material. I think it's stone dust or some type of material like that. We're going to continue that across so that we have a smooth transition all along the path. This will also require a lot less maintenance in the long run, and it'll be a lot more stable of a crossing. So we're proposing that's going to require amending the wetland permit for the project. Again, that's something we will be proposing in detail and making a submission on that. Again, earlier in the summer, we had, nope. Earlier in the summer, we had come in with a proposal to add to relocate parking, which we had lost in the building due to column spacing. So some of those spaces ended up in this area up in here, right up in here, and then we had shown some 7 spaces here in this location, which was adjacent to the pond. The planning department thought it would be better served to put these parking spaces in location outlined in blue here. So we have relocated those, and they are no longer in that location, which we have delineated in the red dash lines there. The next item, which we'll be making application to the board on, is a proposed subdivision. And that subdivision is going to be this, this green line here. And the purpose of that is to separate the area that's going to be controlled by HOA versus the part of the site which is going to be subject to the rental properties, both the residential and commercial rental properties. It doesn't affect the site plan in any way. We're not changing anything physically on the site plan other than there's going to be a dividing line there. Lastly, just to give you an update on the intersection improvements, bids are out for the improvements. They're expected to come back in early December, and at that point, the construction will be awarded to the winning bidder on that. Any questions?
What was approved over the summer? What amendments were made back then? Was that
Just
those two
parking.
units?
The parking,
Yeah.
and that was it. I think that was it, the parking, and I don't believe we actually had a resolution approving the relocation of the 2 units to the condo building. I know we brought it up, but I don't think it was part of a resolution.
Well, if it
Unless I'm
wasn't part of the
mistaken.
resolution, then the original approval of those units would stand, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Is that true? I don't know.
Can you repeat the question? I
The
apologize.
question is whether or not we've already approved the change from the 4 in the corner there to 2, and now
Yeah,
you want,
I believe you did.
we did.
By
'Cause
resolution, it was never finalized by a signed site plan.
It was.
Oh, it was? We did it?
Oh, no, I'm asking whether it was or not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so,
We just
right?
did the resolution, so
what
Yeah,
happens
I looked through the resolutions from July and I didn't see it. No, no.
So you don't need anything from us on the 4
No,
then?
I'm just kind of just letting you know that that's what we were gonna do. Just didn't want it to be a surprise, when we make a submission for
Yeah, I mean,
formalizing.
I think my opinion would be to do something for the record that shows that we're now further, you know, this project is further evolving, and that the acceptance of those changes on the record, that the board accepted them, so whether it's a resolution or what have you.
And what's, does the subdivision have any consequence that we need to consider? Does it change lot coverage? Does it change anything? Or for the purposes of this approval, do we treat this project as if it wasn't there?
That's a good question.
Or you're
I mean,
gonna
is
show,
this-
you can show that, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to look at the coverage numbers, we would then break it down. That way, I don't know, under the guise of the approval that we use, where we've done this under the overlay rather district, I don't know if that really comes into play. I would defer
Well,
on
you'll-
that.
You'll
yeah.
figure it out and let us,
Yeah, I would defer
Tell us.
on that. I'm not 100% sure how that would play out.
Well, there's also the issue of access. There's the issue of the recreation component. So essentially, I think the site plan still needs to work together as 100% site plan, for lack of a better term, even though there'll be, in essence, separate ownerships of the 2 properties.
I don't disagree. I don't think we need to review the, I mean, that site plan functions as we approved it, and
Right.
hopefully it's gonna work that way. I'm just wondering if we now split it into 2 separate lots, just need to know what the consequences of that are. You said there really are none from a planning perspective, but there might be
Correct.
some that come in, as John was saying, you've got two lots now to deal with.
That's correct. I mean, if you were to break down the numbers, lot to lot, I don't know how it's gonna play out. Some of the parking for the rental side of the site may be on the other part of the site, right? On the HOA part of the site. But that can all be resolved with cross easements. We're gonna have
Yes.
cross easements, right, for access for utilities and so on and so forth. So the only thing that I would think you maybe change would be, if we break it down and look at the coverage numbers per each lot, but at the same time, in the overlay, we don't really look at that in that, as if it were a specific zone.
I understand. I understand what's driving this, and you may be able to accomplish it other ways. I don't
Right,
know.
right.
Okay.
Joe, as you've been doing a lot of excavating and so forth, I know the pond has a drainage pipe or somehow it runs off to somewhere else. And I feel like we never quite knew where that went.
Right.
Any discoveries related to that?
Yeah,
Any-
we found that it, it went under where this building is now proposed to go, pops out into a drainage structure that exists back in here.
Huh.
We will excavate it almost all the way. We excavated as far as the property line. Then we were able to run water through it and see where it, of course, popped out, and it popped out right in the location where we expected it to come out. So the pond will continue to discharge where it always discharged,
Mhm.
except now it's going to be under a more controlled rate than it was before.
Anything else?
That's it.
John?
Anything else? No?
Counselor?
Nothing for me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for the
Okay,
update.
so we'll be back with a subdivision application. We'll be looking to amend the wetland permit or the proposal for the
Yeah,
crossing.
just start working on it with John and crew.
When do you expect the bar to open? I'm there.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy
You
Thanksgiving.
too.
All right, next we did a site visit, and this is a discussion about RIC Development Battery Storage. Location is 3666 Old Yorktown Road. We did that walk this week. I also do want to note that Par 3 has been pulled off by the applicant. So we did our site visit this weekend.
Yeah,
Any comments, concerns?
not really.
Yeah, I think just, being on site kind of gave you a sense of the proximity to the Taconic
Yeah.
and any issues or concern that might raise.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's the back of their property and
Very interesting piece of
Oh,
property.
yeah.
No,
boy.
absolutely. And going back to what we were touching on before, with the proximity to the parkway and the difference in elevation from the parkway to the proposed site, I would like to see some installation of bollards or
Yeah.
something to protect us from any runaway vehicle coming off the parkway.
That, and we're gonna have to further look at the wetlands and the floodplain area.
Yeah.
To make sure there's no issues with that.
Well, we know it's a floodplain.
Yeah.
We know that.
You gotta
We've
bring
seen
it up and
a
out
couple
of it.
times. So,
Well, the
I
applicant,
think the applicant said he was gonna raise
gonna shift it.
Yeah.
the units anyhow.
Yeah. Very interesting property.
Yeah.
Yes.
Other than that, I don't see anything else.
That
No.
still falls under the moratorium, though.
Yes.
Okay.
East Main Street? Is he here?
Oh, you came in. How are you? All right, so we'll go back into the regular portion of the meeting. We have 401 East Main Street. This is a public informational hearing. Do I have a motion to open the hearing, public informational hearing?
Motion.
second.
All those in favor?
aye.
You're on.
Okay, what do you,
Just a brief description.
all
of what
right,
you're
so,
doing.
well, we revised the plans, based on, some of the comments of the Conservation Board and, suggestions that the Planning board department suggested. We reduced the parking in the front to avoid any variance that would be needed. The storage units were now, that we were going to display are now behind, would be behind the building. We added the wetland buffers now shown on the plans. The rain garden was added to treat for stormwater. That was also suggested by the Conservation Board. And we added the outdoor lights. And the stream will be cleaned up reasonably as needed.
And what's the use of the building?
So it's going to be an office use and storage for equipment, and you know, we're a move management company. We help downsize seniors that are transitioning to independent living or assisted living.
And the containers that you're gonna have behind the building, what's the purpose of those?
We sell them.
So someone could come take a look at those, if they like them, they could
Yeah.
purchase them.
Yeah, they actually come apart, so we'll have a couple up for display, and I have another lot up in Poughkeepsie where we keep most of them. This is
Okay.
one of the Westchester.
So therefore, display only, no storage?
Well, we might use them just to keep some equipment in. I'm not, rule that out, but, if someone wants to buy it, I'm gonna take the equipment out.
Sure.
I'm gonna have 2 bays in the office, so I'm hoping to keep all my equipment in there.
And the building is gonna be served by a private septic?
Yes.
And the entrance to the project isn't changing at all?
No. I'm gonna take the fence down. Other than that, the curb cut is what it is. It's pretty wide. But I wanna take down the fence. 2 reasons. That turn is a bit dangerous, and I'm trying, I don't want any obstruction, especially if we're, coming out with trucks. Also, it's gonna look really nice. I wanna expose it. I think it's gonna look beautiful.
Any questions from the board?
None here.
What's on the east side of the site?
East side, that would be,
That's the left.
there's a house there.
And what's on the boundary of the property? Isn't there a drainage or something there?
Which side?
The left side.
They're in between my property and the other property. There's a storage, like, that's where the
There's no
stormwater.
water or drainage there?
Yeah, that's where it's currently going. The planning board, we were gonna divert it to the other side, but, they wanted it where it is currently, so we redirected it around the septic. We actually shrunk the septic system to make that happen. Because the septic was actually originally for a bigger building that we got approved on, but since
Yeah.
we were putting a much smaller building, we shrank the septic system in order to keep that drainage where it is currently.
But-
It's actually broken. That's gonna get fixed.
But what is on the left side of your property?
I'm
Is
not,
there any water course or drainage over there?
there's a stormwater, like, empties into like a
Underground.
Swell.
swale
It's not,
between the
It
2
enters-
properties.
the swale is kind of office property.
Shouldn't we see that?
Yeah, it's right at the corner. You don't see it, but you're right. It would help to show where the outlet is, which doesn't show here quite yet. But it's draining just off the property in the left upper corner. And then there's a swale that goes into the lake. And that's where whatever goes through his property now in terms of drainage, there's a manhole and some piping. It empties there now.
Right, so,
We're not changing it, we're repairing it, actually, making it, it's currently broken. There's a pipe that's busted, and it's actually, when it rains, it comes up in the middle of the parking lot, so we have to fix that and then keep it to where it's supposed to go.
so that, the paved area of this property drains where? It's gonna be, you're gonna pick it up and then send it into that drainage ditch and it's gonna go into the lake?
And it goes into the lake, yes.
So what,
Well, actually, no.
It's not in the lake, the lake's
No, what-
200 yards behind me.
If you look on the left side, you see the blue dotted line with the circles?
Yes, I
That go
do.
over towards that?
Yep.
Those are closed. So that's redirecting water that's draining through his property now to the existing outlet at the swale. All it is doing, correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, is rerouting that so it goes around this proposed septic area. If you look at the right side, you'll see that there is a blue line that starts at the rain garden, dumps into an open covered drain structure, travels to another open covered open drain structure that drains the parking lot into the infiltration basins on the right side behind the building.
And that's their treatment.
That's their treatment for the pavement, their pavement.
Okay, so the parking lot drains into the rain garden and then out? Not
No, the
other
parking
side?
lot drains into those two inlets
Yeah, so what treats that?
that it infiltrates into the underground, behind the building. If you see that light square rectangle underneath the 430 elevation.
This?
Yeah.
And if you trace back to the arrow there, it says proposed Coltech infiltration system.
Yep,
That's
I
it.
see it. Okay, so the paved area is gonna drain and get treated there, not to the left?
Right.
Okay,
The left is just a rerouting of the pipe, and you'll see that existing
all right,
drain there at the street. That basically goes straight diagonally to the existing swale.
I get it.
But
All right,
he's
so there-
rerouting that around and giving
Right,
access to it.
it goes, currently goes where the septic system is currently the X, the green X.
Yeah, I
It's
got it.
currently kind of going through that right now. We're
So you're
gonna,
moving
but it
going-
ends up in the same spot.
Okay, but you're treating the runoff from the paved areas and the automobile, whatever, you know, or that's going separate, that's being treated, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other concerns from the board?
That's it,
John?
that's it.
What's next?
Then,
All right, well, just as long as you're satisfied with what the Conservation Board is bringing up in terms of the wetland buffer, which is add the rain garden and, I guess, clean up the stream, that would be the mitigation,
They recommended pervious pavers as well for the parking area.
potential pervious pavers, yeah.
Yeah, that, I don't think would work, only because it's gonna be close to the septic. And I think that's gonna, possibly could wash out the septic.
Hmm.
That's, it's,
outside that,
it's really not a big area, you know.
Yeah, I know.
This is a public informational hearing. Anybody from the public wish to ask any questions on this?
No,
No, you
come
gotta
on
come
up.
up. Just gotta state your name and address for the record, please. Yeah, you come up here, yep. How you doing?
Hi. Juan Rusi, 4390 East Main Street, and I also have access to 399 East Main Street. So I've met with him before. He's a great guy, and I'm sure this is going to be a great improvement. But the only thing that I'm really concerned, and we're all really concerned about, is the stream, because it's been increasingly flooding every year, and it's been bad. The one on the left is that one right there, because it comes from a very big, wide open drain that comes all the way from Wood Street.
Yeah.
And Putnam Valley tied into it, everybody's tying into it, and then it just comes into like a size from me to him. It's very narrow. So the only thing that I'm concerned about is that if we add more drainage that will seep into this stream as well, it'll continue to add water into the stream, and it's not being maintained. We've had horrible floodings because of the stream, and I spent all yesterday looking at lakes. Every lake is drying up except Lake Osceola. I went to the outlet on Route 6. There's water coming in from the outlet, and I videoed it. So we are adding more water into the lake, and we're not really maintain. If it was maintained the way that it should be, and water's flowing, there's no problems. But if we add more than we can handle, that's where I'm really concerned, because it goes from 0 to like 1,000 so quickly whenever time it rains, and it's unstoppable. You're just looking at this hole, just like just there's nothing you can do, you know.
So, in respect to this application, the applicant can't increase net runoff of the property, so they have to maintain it, so nothing will change there. We did look at that when we did our site walk. We walked across the street and I looked at that opening. And I could see how that could become a problem if it got clogged up. That would be from something coming upstream to that.
Yeah.
I believe that's a town-owned, maintained culvert.
I don't know.
So
Even
that-
his property would be affected. I mean, because it would just come up and it would just wash everything off, you know?
And we did look at that when we were out there. That is a maintenance issue that the town's gonna have to look at. That's not his responsibility.
No, yeah.
But I will tell you, with the storms up until recent, when we get a storm, it's a storm. You know, every storm is 100, 500-year storm. You get an obscene amount of water immediately. And I know, and correct me if I misspeak, John, we've had development proposed around Lake Osceola before, and I remember back to the Honorable Al Capolini. I think they could never determine who owned,
Lake Osceola?
yes,
Yeah, still undetermined.
right? So no one knows who actually owns that to maintain it. And you're right, some of these lakes are naturally fed. Other areas are drying up. That's obviously because we're in the middle of a drought.
That's what worries me, because if we're in such a big drought and we still have a lot of water, imagine when we have the smallest amount of water adding into this, which is supposed to be dry.
Yeah, well, this application, they have to contain the stormwater on their property, so it can't exit any quicker than it does now. That's why they have the rain garden, that pipe that is being diverted around the existing septic that is broken, we saw it when we were out there, is being repaired and moved around, so the net runoff from this property is not. What you do need to worry about is what's going on upstream from there.
Yeah.
Is any development up there? And again, most of the homes up there are older. I think you live up there, don't you?
He lives up,
Right.
yeah.
So those homes, when they were built, it's like, I always say, it's like a 1970s car, right? You got a Chevelle from 1970. It's a very different emissions-controlled car than a Traverse from today. So,
I have to plead the Fifth Amendment.
so
I have the oldest house up there.
yeah.
It's over 100 years old.
See, and
So-
they used to just dump the water right onto the property, right? You'd have downspouts that would just dump the water in the. Now, it's if you do a new home or it's contained on the property. So, as the homes get improved, and you want to see that, they're actually making the situation better.
Okay. I'm also concerned about the difference in level, because his property is probably like, I don't know, 4 feet or maybe more higher than where I am. So when it rains, everything kind of, I mean, I know it's proposed that the water's supposed to go different ways, but when it rains, the water's just going to go where it goes. And like, I'm down here, he's up here. I have like a waterfall every time. And if you divert the water into either one of the streams, you're adding on to the problem that we already have. So I don't know what to do about that.
So the parking lot is curbed. So that'll act like a basin. So any water that hits that parking lot isn't going to just shoot off. It will go into this containment area, be treated, held before it's just shut off.
And the containment area, where it's just going to be held there.
If you look, there's 2 areas. There's a rain garden in front of the building, and behind the building, right where you see the grading line, there's a containment area.
Okay. It just holds the water.
Everything's pitched
Okay.
Yeah, so
away from that stream. Everything, I mean, it probably should be pitched towards the stream, but it's not. It's pitched away towards the drainage ditch.
Okay.
You know.
So the water that's going to go in the back, it's going to go to the side, is what you're saying?
any water that hits that parking lot will be picked up by those 2 basins and treated. So if it used to hit there, and right now there's nothing out there, so if it used to sheet flow off the property towards your property, that's gonna change. Now it's gonna be collected, diverted, treated before it gets.
Where is
sent.
it gonna be diverted to? Like, once it's there, like, where, it's just gonna be held in a tank? What is it gonna be?
There's a tank behind, right, there's a filtration behind, and then there's a rain garden in front.
Okay. So they're just gonna filtrate into the.
What that does is it slows everything down, so it's not gonna just
Right.
flood off like it is
It's
now
not gonna
with.
sheet flow onto your property, like you said, a waterfall.
Yeah.
That's the whole
Now-
purpose.
If you get an Ida or one of these
Yeah.
historical storms, you know, all bets are gonna be off the whole area. If one house is under, they're all gonna be under.
And I hope that the town, even like I said, for his sake and my sake, this right here, please, we need to maintain it. I mean, I don't know. I'm coming to every
And-
single board meeting.
Yeah. If legally, if the town doesn't have an easement, a maintenance easement over that property, they can't go in and spend public funds for a private benefit. So part of that, and I think we gotta look at the ownership of that goes onto the road. I'm sure that's gotta be town or state. But again, the bigger issue is we don't know who owns the lake. We heard it might be Aaron, but we're not sure. That's the bigger problem here.
Yeah. Because over in that corner is where everything kind of explodes. It kind of funnels
Oh, yeah.
into that, and that water has nowhere to go.
Well, now it's gonna hit the lot. It's gonna be diverted to the two areas.
The water that's coming from here, I mean,
That's coming from uphill.
What the applicant the applicant is doing work that's close to that stream.
yeah.
Okay, so in order for him to offset any impacts, negative impacts, one of the things he's proposing is to clear out the section there of debris, which should enable it to flow better. Your problem isn't related to that. Your problem is that the lake level comes up and then moves into the backyard,
And that the
right?
water comes in. And
Yeah.
even it's his problem too, because the water comes in here, and then it kind of like overflows this way.
Well-
So if he builds anything, he's gonna be, you know,
And he's not gonna wanna be flooded out. But one of the things we have in our application here is that there is gonna be cleaning out of the debris
so it's gonna be
in
clean.
that stream that
That
goes
bed.
next to the property, okay? The bigger problem you're facing, I've been, well aware of it, you've got siltation at the other end where it comes in, and then you've got the restricted outlet.
Yeah.
And,
So you're kind of like in the middle,
Yeah,
like this,
well,
and
I
it
know.
just, so that's I just come here to shed a light on
No,
all
it's-
of
you
this.
Come to the right place.
so,
You
but
have to go to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
we're somewhat limited in that we're dealing with the impacts of this project and the mitigation that this applicant is proposing. It's not a global
Okay.
thing that we're talking about here.
Right, I mean, we're not adding any more moisture, we're just gonna control it better. That's
Right.
really what it is. The runoff's still gonna be the same, it's gonna be controlled. But the point that I do agree with him, and I've owned that property since, I don't know, 2010. And that, I can't speak for his property. Never saw it get that wet. I really haven't. The only time I saw it get really bad was 2 summers ago, when that channel that went under the road
The block.
got blocked,
Yep.
and it went over
Jumped
the
over,
road,
yep.
and there's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing other than make the hole bigger or clean up the debris where, that was coming down. But, I mean, that is what it is, and if that happened again, yeah, it would do a lot of damage to my building, but.
Several years ago, that same stream up on Mountain Road washed out the road.
Yes,
There was so much water, the pipes underneath couldn't take it, so they added bigger ones, like you
I
said.
think the pipe is probably big enough. I just, if the debris clogs it, there's, that's,
You need like a trash grate there, so you could lift it off during a storm.
yes.
Like with the hook, you come with the machine.
Or if
Pull
there,
it.
is that a public, that stream, is that something like the town go in once a year and just clear out all the debris that's in there? And
I've never seen them do
Yeah,
that.
you'd have to have an easement, right,
Yeah.
to go onto private property and do that.
And so that is all private property, that
That's.
touches
what I
that-
understand, yeah.
drainage that comes down?
Well, I don't know, but that raises a question. To what extent, you're gonna clean this stuff up once
On my side.
on.
I'm not worried about my side.
But that's all I can worry about right
Yeah.
here. Are you gonna do that, in the future, maintain it?
I'll do it all the time. I mean, I'm not, I certainly
it's
don't
to
want to
his-
flood him out.
Uh, Then you,
To his
let's
benefit to
put that
clean
in
it.
the,
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
mitigation.
Well, what was clogged when it happened?
So
What
what
was
the,
blocked up?
it got, so where the pipe goes under the road, so on,
East
that'd be the
Main.
north side?
The culvert upstream, there's the concrete culvert debris came down, blocked it up, and created a dam. The water was coming down so quickly that it built up so fast that
On the north side of the road?
yeah,
Yes,
that
and then it went
jumped.
over the
Has
road.
that been cleared?
Yeah,
clear
this
when
happened this was 2 summers ago when there was a
Diet,
huge,
right?
But right now,
I don't know,
right
everything-
there, there's like this much space for the water to come. So,
You
Oh,
gotta go
get
to the
up. You're
mic.
getting-
oh, sorry. So, right where he's talking about, there's probably this much space for the water to flow right now. Because what happened was it blocked and then it went where the deli parking lot and then it blew out the deli's parking lot. So I had like a telephone pole in my property. I had like,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
so bad, you know.
Water's vicious.
It's crazy. So yeah, if we don't maintain it often, then that's just gonna keep happening. Especially, I don't know what Putnam Valley did, but there's so much more water coming in now than 2 years ago. Like it's trickling now, and we have a drought. So I don't know where the water. And I've gone up Wood Street, I've gone up Indian Hill, and I don't know what they did, but I don't know if maybe you guys can find out. I don't know, because it's added water that wasn't even there before. So.
Really, all what we have before us
We
is
can only
this.
deal with this application, but it is something,
But it affects his application too. That's why I bring
well,
it
it
up. that's
affects
all.
the area.
Yes, yes,
Right,
yes,
understood.
yes.
All right, that's something we'll take a look at.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion to close the public informational hearing?
Motion.
Second,
Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye to both.
Want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family. We'll see you in December.
Look at the time.
Nancy's upset. She's probably going to file a grievance.